You should know by now my position of how we as faithful Christians can realize our hope. That is, the development of faith and hope through an understanding of the message and the messenger, and the demonstration of love to one another through the acts of charity, mercy, forgiveness, and preaching. More importantly to us is Jesus' message of how we stand to lose our hope by not attending to these will components despite faith. I believe this is the true and accurate message from Jesus and that of the kingdom of heaven. The relationship we may experience with our Father in heaven and the expectations He has of us remind me of the relationship we experience here on earth between our earthly fathers. And from here on out, I'll refer to our earthly fathers as simply Dad, in which our relationships are remarkably similar. I wanted to share this with you for some time. When I think about my children and my expectations of them, I can't help see a similar scenario in our relationship with Jesus and our Father in heaven. An additional point of which we won't flesh out here is the understanding that some of us faithful Christians have regarding the obligations and expectations that our Father has of us. It makes me feel guilty when I feel disappointed and possibly angry when I expect certain things from my daughters and they refuse to meet my expectations, even at the minimum levels, when I know how often I fail to meet the expectations of Jesus and my Father, that of attending to His will. First and foremost, if our dad is a good and stable dad, he loves us unconditionally. Although he has set the rules of conduct, he understands we won't successfully meet all the rules, especially in the early years of our lives. The relationship may be established as a reward or punishment type of relationship in which if we do things that our dad has indicated, then we may be able to say, watch TV. If we don't, however, we may have to go and without watching TV until we are willing to address his expectations to the best of our ability. But typically in our failures and possibly his appointment and our lack of effort, we approach our dads and apologize, offer hugs and kisses, and promise we'll listen better next time, and probably ask to have access to the TV regardless. If our dads are loving, which in this case we're going to assume they are, they'll respond with their own hugs and kisses, reinforce their love for us through articulating the words and by physically comforting us. In a loving relationship, the love our dads have for us is unconditional, regardless if he gives in to our pleas to watch TV or not. And we love our dads, despite our failures and possible refusals to do that which he expects us to do. But we still want to watch TV, and whatever it is we're being warned we'll lose for our refusal to at least attempt to meet expectations. We must understand, however, that in a healthy relationship, the rules and expectations established by our dads are established for a reason, which one may be concerning safety. If our dads hold the line and let us know that the rules are set for a reason, then we should expect not to be allowed to receive the services and gifts that were offered if we had complied. His firmness in holding the line has nothing to do with the love he has for us. In fact, the rules may be because he loves us so much. Whether we choose to meet the expectations of our dads is completely up to us, and our willingness to meet expectation may have to do with the fact that we simply don't understand the big picture. To make it in this world, we will all have obligations and expectations to meet. If we choose to meet those expectations to the best of our ability, then we'll be allowed to do X or receive Y. If we fail to meet the expectations to the best of our ability, then we'll be denied X and Y. Very few people here on earth will receive gifts without expectations of behaviors. In establishing the expectations, it is incumbent upon our dads to consider who we are, what we're capable of, our age, educational level, and many other characteristics. If the expectations are set too high, then regardless of our willingness to meet the expectations, we will fail. Most dads understand this and consider all these characteristics and don't establish expectations beyond our abilities. However, establishing expectations beyond our ability with the opportunity of learning from our failures may be part of the goals our dads have for us. And simply doing our best as children to meet expectations demonstrates a willingness to pursue the goals and expectations our dads have for us. If in pursuing these goals, when we fail, if we approach our dads and acknowledge where we failed, then a loving dad would reassure us, forgive us our failures, and encourage us to reach higher the next time, and maybe even work with us to be more efficient, more expertise, better at doing that which he is asking us to do. There's a certain point, possibly a point in maturity, in which the expectations our dads have for us will need to be met with more and more regularity and more consistency. If we refuse to even try to meet expectations, regardless of the love our dads demonstrate to us, and possibly because we understand our dads love us unconditionally, then he may remove all provisions of comfort, demand rent money for car insurance, money for phone services, gas money, money to go and have fun. We must understand that he is the same person he has always been. It is us who have made the conscious decision to not respect the rules of the game. The reason why our dads may remove such services may be varied, but it may be directly related to teaching a life lesson. Sometimes the way in which we learn best is to experience things the hard way. We may be confusing unconditional love with the expectation of receiving comfort without having to meet expectations. Unconditional love is not the same thing as giving rewards without conditions. To experience the removal of the comforts from our provider may be the most valuable lesson we can learn. Just because we have a loving and caring dad who loves us unconditionally doesn't mean that we should expect to receive the comforts of a loving and caring the comforts a loving and caring dad can provide without any motivation to meet his expectations on our part. To make it in this world, every person on earth is burdened with obligations and expectations, and we are no different. In establishing these expectations, our dads are preparing us for the world of adulthood. We may face this fact of life in adulthood if we choose not to meet our dad's expectations as children. Regardless of our dad's unconditional love for us, at some point, if we decide not to cultivate and maintain a relationship with our dad, which may be demonstrated by love and attending to certain parent-child obligations, then we may find ourselves disinherited from the wealth he desires to give us. What our dads do for us in our childhood may be seen as educational objectives for the purposes of making us more productive as adults. If we can make an analogy between our childhood and adulthood with that of our earthly lives and where we go after death in relation to what our dads and Jesus are trying to teach us, the education we receive from our dads comes to us directly, while that of Jesus comes from his statements found in parables and stories. What we do as children prepare us for adulthood. If we learned our lessons well and demonstrated productivity as child learners, then our adulthood would be seamless and profitable, as we may stand to inherit that which our earthly dads have accumulated. If we learn our biblical lessons from Jesus on earth and attend to the will of God effectively, then our life after life will be seamless and profitable, as we will inherit the kingdom of heaven. If I could offer a parable to illustrate the message I'm trying to convey, consider the far country parable, including the conclusion of the chapter which immediately follows the parable. And this is in Matthew 18. Jesus articulated the obligations and expectations our Father has for us. If we fail to meet these obligations, then we will be disinherited from our Father in heaven and our hope. In the parable of the vineyard laborers, we learn that everyone will receive the same reward, regardless of when we begin working for the goals and purposes of Jesus. But the laborers in the vineyard are obligated and expect to work for the goals and purposes of Jesus and our Father. The payment the laborers expect to receive for their work will only be received when the workday is done. There is no payday for half-day laborers or laborers who fail to meet the expectation of the vineyard owner. No one in this world will receive what they want by doing nothing. We all have obligations and expectations. As faithful Christians, our burden is to be willing to demonstrate love in all ways. Love can be manifested through acts of charity, mercy, forgiveness, and preaching. If we aren't willing and refuse to demonstrate love, then we cannot possibly expect to receive our hope.